Like different people are coming down for different reasons, veterans or even expats looking for different things from the island itself. Like we came down to provide our children with a better lifestyle, like we discussed.
So I have a purpose of being here now. All the vets here are trying to get healthy mentally or physically if they're attending one of the centers, and they have to want that, and I want that.
But what are some of the favorite places that you think veterans would choose to live here on the North Coast?
For me, the North Coast, I like the North Coast the best. Yeah. I have offices on the South Coast, but I prefer to be here always. Even though I have to go there every week, I can't wait to get home.
So I was in Mexico, and I wasn't crazy about Mexico. And instead of looking, I said, I'm going to Dominican Republic.
Just in Puerto Plata alone, we have 85 staff.
Oh, my goodness.
So that's
85.
Just in Puerto Plata. Probably 200 on the islands.
Welcome back to It's Your Life, Time to Live It, episode number 7 podcast. And today we're diving into a topic that a lot of people are talking about, and it's why more and more military veterans are choosing to relocate to the Dominican Republic for A, a better quality of life, B, better real estate opportunities, and C, better health care. Joining us, we have Dr. Gary, a global recognized expert in non-surgical scoliosis. Did I say that correctly? Mm-hmm. All right. Treatment and posture rehabilitation, who has expanded his work to the Dominican Republic. Alongside him, we have 2 distinguished veterans, Mr. Chris Ware and Robert McKinney, who made the move here, and they're here today to share their firsthand experience about why they made the move, the good, maybe some of the challenges that are here, and everything in between. So whether you're a veteran who's looking for a fresh start, or maybe a veteran who's considering the move, or just curious about life here, stay tuned. This is going to be fun and an eye-opening discussion. So let's get started. Dr. Gary, tell us a little bit about why the Dominican Republic, because I think before we talk about the how and the what, I think it starts with the why. So why the Dominican Republic?
Well, in 2010, there was a very catastrophic earthquake in Haiti. Mm-hmm. And over 300,000 people died in minutes. And a group of us, some friends of mine, chiropractors, they came down and right away and started treating people and creating help to so many orphans, so many people. This project expanded into the north coast of Haiti, where I got involved in setting up an orphanage, a school, a church, a birthing center, a bunch of things that we still support all these years and growing. So this has been an ongoing project of the Wellness for All Foundation, which is the nonprofit in the United States that we contribute to support it. And I'm on the ground down here seeing that things happen. So that brought me to the island. Every 12 weeks, we would bring 50 to 100 chiropractors here.
Wow.
For years. It's still ongoing now through other groups. And this, because we would come in through the Dominican Republic, through Puerto Plata, I became familiar with the DR. I had vacations here a couple times many years before, but this brought me here frequently, every 12 weeks in the beginning. And from that, me and my partners in New York, where we had a chiropractic practice and physical therapy practice in New York City, this allowed us to, or this prompted us to set up some offices on the island. So first was in Puerto Plata, then in Santiago, then 2 in Santo Domingo. So we take care of the public. We take care of tourists. We take care of the public. We're accepted in all the major insurance plans like Sanasa, and we work with the university and SEMA and Humano. So we have a regular presence on the island for the public. So that's what kind of brought me here, was what happened in Haiti, and I fell in love with the island life. I couldn't wait to get back here. I got married here as well.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. And this is where I live. I'm Dominican now, I guess. American Dominican.
Absolutely. And tell me a little bit, how did that kind of transfer over, that initial start, to providing service to veterans, and what type of service do you guys offer to help veterans here?
Well, initially, veterans were coming to our chiropractic clinic. Since there's very few chiropractic clinics on the island, we're the only one in Puerto Plata. In Santiago, there's a couple. In San Domingo, there's only a few. So chiropractic has never really been big on the island. Now we have 6 clinics on the island and growing. What brought me involved with the veterans was some veterans were coming in and they needed other services. The other places on the island were not really giving them the services from what I thought was from a holistic healing perspective. And my practice for 40 years has been about looking at the whole person, not just where they ache and pain. You know, looking at the person, listening to the person. A biggest part of healthcare, I feel, that's overlooked is listening to the patient.
Oh my goodness.
Everybody's just looking at lab results or test results or where they think they hurt. But the reality is we're very complex, the human body. Absolutely. And we really don't know that much in reality. So you have to listen to the patient. Who knows better about their condition than them and what they're feeling? And if we're lucky, we get to put the dots together and come up with solutions. So in terms of treatments that we have now, well, now we have full clinics of, just in Puerto Plata alone, we have 85 staff.
Oh my goodness.
So that's
85.
Just in Puerto Plata, probably 200 on the island. So we have, in Puerto Plata alone, we have 5 medical doctors full-time, internal medicine, psychiatry, psychology. Psychologists, we have 5. Chiropractic, we have a beautiful chiropractic center with all the latest equipment that I had in the United States, and then some. Physical therapy department, massage department. We have pretty much everything that somebody needs. When they come in, we're not just looking at what they're maybe service connected to. See, in veteran treatment, on the island, there's a program called the Foreign Medical Program, where veterans can get treated for what they had service-connected disability to. But that might not be where they are right now, 20 years, 30 years later. So we look and listen and treat the whole person.
Interesting. And Chris, tell me a little bit about your journey, your discovery to the DR, and why you chose, as here as one of your favorite spots.
For me, my journey is long because I had some major surgery over 20 years ago when my L3, 4, and 5, my lower lumbar section was destroyed. And I was paralyzed for a number of months. I was in hospital for almost 4 or 5 months. So for me, that was a transition just in terms of life, learning to walk again from wheelchair, walker, etc. And one of the things during that period of time for me was I really couldn't deal with cold weather. At the time, I was living in Charlotte. So often when the weather would change, I would go somewhere warm, whether that was Thailand, Mexico, etc. I got introduced to the Dominican Republic during a time frame in the midst of COVID where I couldn't go back to Thailand, but Mexico was
a restriction.
Yeah. So I was in Mexico, and I wasn't crazy about Mexico. And an associate of mine who I had not spoken to in over 50 years happened to see me on Facebook, and he called me. And he's a little older, and he's been living in Dominican Republic at that time, maybe about 10, 12 years. And we were discussing Mexico, and I said, I like Mexico, but I'm not crazy about it. And he said, well, why don't you come here? And long story short, when I left Mexico in the summer, I went back to the States, hung out there for close to 6 months, started getting cold again. And instead of going looking, I said, I'm going to Dominican Republic. And that really was my transition. The first time I stayed for, I think, 3 weeks, I came back maybe 6 or 7 months later. And I think that's the time I met Gary. I think that because the clinic had not opened at that point. We were just discussing. I met him through, as he said, through his chiropractic. And the fact that I discovered he specialized in scoliosis, that in itself, and then the fact that we're both from New York, and we had that common denominator, and the relationship kind of grew from there, because when I went back to the States, he was in the process of opening up the clinics, and he called me when I was in the States and said, I'm open. We're right here, and I'm working out of this restaurant, and I'm renting this space, and this, that, and the other. A long story short, the dream was made alive, and I think I came back down. In fact, I came with my mom, and he welcomed us both.
That's beautiful.
And this was the beginning. And yeah, I hung out, and then I ended up going back to the States again. But the next time back around, it's become home. So I've been very blessed. And like many, I've been to all the various clinics, and I have nothing bad to say about any of them. It's just what I needed specifically. And what a lot of people lose sight of is these are health clinics. At the end of the day, there's a lot of diversion, well, we're going to be in these trips, or we're doing this, or we're doing that. And that's great, because there's a certain group of people who are down here who really need that extension in terms of their social life, etc. And you can't be mad. Wherever you're being blessed, take advantage of those blessings. For me personally, I wanted to walk. I wanted to be able to do and live my life more freely. And this has opened up many doors. Even some of the services that I know would cost thousands in the States, that we're getting just under the umbrella, because Gary has a heart that he wants to see us get better, not only physically, but mentally, socially, And so we're getting a taste of it all. We're getting a taste of it all. But for me personally, I enjoy the fact that the doctors, they collaborate with one another, So as he said, if there's something going on with my hip and the physical therapist saw it, and then I have a massage afterward, the physical therapist is going to make sure he talks to the manicurist and the massage therapist and say, listen, this is what we worked on today. I need you to concentrate on this, etc. And that even helps me more, because I'm not the best with the language. So that communication is a beautiful thing, And for me, I'm just one of those people who manage my expectations.
Yeah.
I feel more fulfillment for my personal needs under this umbrella. I don't begrudge anybody about where they go, what they do. We're all veterans.
Absolutely.
We all to maintain that level of our love for one another. It's not about that. Doing these to do what makes you happy, but this was working for me.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that, Gary, that you said that kind of resonated with me is that you said that one of the keys is being a good listener. I think that's a skill that not only being a doctor, but even in my field is something that we're trying to work with our entire team, is to understand in order to be understood. And the other thing that you mentioned, Chris, is the communication, right? Communication is very, very important.
Well, in our office, we have regular team conferences.
There you are.
So all the providers they meet with the chief medical officer, who is a medical doctor, and they all meet. And they discuss each case. Mm-hmm. So they know they have a direction. It's not just give them this, give them service here, get services. It's not about that. What can we do cohesively as a group to achieve the best outcome?
Yeah.
It's all about the outcome. At the end of the day, it's about quality of life. What will give the best quality of life? So he needs to see this person. He needs this test. And very often it's not things they're service connected to at this time, but then there are people on the island, which I know we're going to talk about, that are helping them with their claims and with their service connections, which is fantastic, because even though they may not be connected today, they might be a year from now.
Yeah.
And fortunately, the way the system works, we can treat them now for those things. So
very vital, right? Like Chris was mentioning, like everyone is different, right? Like different people are coming down for different reasons, veterans or even expats, looking for different things from the island itself. Like we came down to provide our children with a better lifestyle, like we discussed earlier.
Right.
And Robert, what are some of the reasons why you've made the switch over here? Like,
Well,
what's new with you?
So I had a friend that was living here. We were stationed together at our first assignment in 1982.
Oh my goodness.
He-
Okay.
yeah,
Looking good.
Came over, and so I came and visited him. I visited him here, and I was attending another clinic and seeing Gary through his chiropractic services. And I was one of when he opened a new center, I was there day one and has been since. And so for me, I fill my entire week up at the center, Monday through Friday. I'm there. So my schedule may consist of Monday of being with the bike riding group. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm with the yoga and the swimming group. And then Wednesday, I'll mix in a physical therapist or chiropractor or something like that. But my why or my purpose for being here now over the extended period of time is that I try to do outreach programs with kids in the different barrios. So now, I mean, then through Gary's clinic alone, it's like Chris said earlier about you don't meet someone, there's a reason why. I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm working with kids in the Cabarete barrio because one of his employees, was telling me about a group of kids down there that needed some assistance. And I was looking to help in different areas. Excuse me. So I went down there, and in 2 weeks ago, I was walking out of the village, one of the main compounds on Coast and Bar, and some kids were walking by, and I got in their baseball stands because I thought they were baseball players over here. We spoke earlier about being huge in baseball here. And they're like, oh, no, we play basketball. Wow, my eyes lit up. My passion came out from me again. And so I've done 2 clinics with those kids, or 3. And I have another one scheduled with that group on Monday. And so I was doing some outreach activities, basketball, prior to Gary. And then he heard about it. I mentioned some things. And now he's helping me do these things in this neighborhood, which has been awesome. You know, the kids are going to benefit from everything that he's helping me with. You know, it's my passion. But like what you do, your passion is not everyone else's passion. Mm-hmm. So I had to finally realize that. And then even here in the Dominican Republic, more again. She had to explain to me, when you give someone something like the basketball tennis shoes, some kids, they may take those basketball tennis shoes home and their mother said, hey, we have to eat. And somebody's offered to buy those. And so I had to refrain from a gift more with something. A gift is a gift. You don't know where it's going to extend to. And that was something. So to tear that down, the culture sometimes dictate what the kids have to do. A kid may get a pair of basketball or tennis shoes and they might say, no, you can't wear those to play basketball in. They're too nice. We wear those to school. So I had to back away from telling the kid, hey, still come, and then things of that nature. So I have a purpose of being here now. All the vets here are trying to get healthy mentally or physically. If they're attending one of the centers, and they have to want that, and I want that. So, and that's one of the main reasons I'm there 5 days a week. I'm there on Saturdays. I go up and just use the pool on Coast and Bar just so that I can stay active, because that's what we need. If I'm in the States, I don't even sleep in my bed. I'll sleep on the couch in the living area. I'll wake up watching a sports show, go to sleep watching a sports show, and never go to my bedroom, you know. And I may get up, say 11:30 and shower or something and start my day then, because I'm not here. When I'm here, I'm getting up at 5:30 in the morning. I'm showering. I'm getting ready to be transported out to the center, and so that's how I live my day here. And again, that's my why for being here now. No other reason. My why, and then now that I have a purpose other than my health, working with the kids in these barrios that I go into.
And I think that's key because, my goodness, I'm born in 1980. So you're already kicking butt a long time ago, and you look fantastic.
Right. Well,
So
thank
I
you.
think keeping busy has something to do with that.
Yeah.
And talking about keeping busy, like for veterans here, I know that you mentioned some of the activities, okay, that you're currently doing. What other activities are a lot of the veterans kind of, maybe some of them who's watching this, they don't know about some of the resources. What are also some of the other resources that are available here for activities and keeping busy?
Well, there's a lot. We do a lot through the Veterans Center. For me, I'm a creature of habit. I'm going to go there. The programs that are offered there, the group just went deep sea fishing.
Nice.
Last year, at one point, we went to Santa Fe.
Uh-huh.
You want to talk about some grown men being big kids at that water. It was crazy. It was a very memorable thing for us to actually do. And it was so refreshing. And so there's just a lot. The guys, I think, I'm not really one to expand upon that or expand, but the guys get out and they do a lot. They really do a lot. If there's adventures, the dune buggy, I know Rico and some guys went out on the dune buggy and some things like that. So there's a lot of opportunities to do things on the island. So I'm 62 years old now. So I don't do a lot of adventure stuff. I've done the zip line thing before. I will not do it again. I would never bungee jump. The longest expansion bridge in the States is in Colorado. The name skips me at this particular time. But I went on the cable car over on it and thought to myself, why did I get on this thing and come over? So there's a walking bridge going back.
Yeah.
So I started on the walking bridge. I started walking, and then I ran across the bridge to get back to the other side. Matter of fact, there was somebody filmed that old Sprite commercial when the guys jumped out of the cable car in the Royal Gorge.
Okay.
Yeah. So some of the things that a lot of veterans go out and do, I don't. Not because it's not fun. I do a risk assessment at my age.
I can relate to Robert over here because I'm only starting to really pay attention to sports I can continue to beat my kids in because they're getting athletically stronger than me in other areas. So I'm like, okay, golf, this looks like a game over here that I can play for a long time and be better than them at. And also I retired from jumping off of high places recently because over here I was doing some of the cliff jumps, and after a few too many, on the river, I jumped off one and kind of landed too much on my butt. I was driving around for about 6 weeks on one butt cheek because it was painful. And our family doctor here, Dr. Nario, he explained to me how I had to get diagnosed if it continued to hurt. And suddenly I used my willpower and it went away. Thank goodness.
Good thing.
Yeah, I did not want to take the next step as far as getting it diagnosed over there, right? So what are some of the, Chris, what are some of the biggest perks of living here? And maybe even not necessarily, let's say, we know about all the different activities that are available for veterans, but is there anything else that compared to the U.S. that maybe stands out to you?
Again, that's always personal. Now, for me,
Wow.
Ever since I was knee-high to a net, I'm from New York originally. So like many people of my persuasion, when you go on vacation, where you going? You're going somewhere tropical. You're always going somewhere. And I believe in vision boards. And one of my vision boards had a lot to do with travel, and I'm seeing myself under palm trees, etc. So as I have shared with people in the past, many times the vision boards that I had, I've seen come to fruition. And this, for me, is a lifestyle that I've always kind of wanted. I mean,
You gave me goosebumps.
I really feel like I feel like I'm in my,
Right.
I mean, let's take for granted. You talking about I'm going to a medical clinic. Now, we all know in the United States, especially under veterans, you go to a clinic, everybody's on a timeline. You got 15 minutes to see your main doctor. She could be the nicest person in the world, but she still has quotas that she's got to meet. So what do you know? She's going to give your basic checkup and take your blood tests and all that stuff. They're going to give you a bunch of pills. I get treatment with quality doctors on the golf course. Part of my treatment is like he was talking about the aquatic therapy. That I'm actually out in, Olympic pool and I'm under a palm tree. And then when I get out, there's, someone to serve me something to eat or to drink or whatever. So I get to live a lifestyle that people pay tens of thousands of dollars. My son was just here for my 69th birthday. He came down. He had to leave today. He's here for 4 days. He spent thousands of dollars, though, for those 4 days, in terms of airfare, all of that other stuff. And, I mean, by the time he get down there and enjoy, he's got to turn around and go back. I get to do this every day. So the choice is the lack of stress. I don't necessarily need to be chauffeur-driven, but I don't want to drive in this traffic. Right. And I can afford to pay somebody when I need to get from point A to point B. And I don't really, where before I used to feel like I needed to go to this country or that country, whatever the case may be. When I look at it from a bigger picture, there's so much for me to see right here. And I can tap into all different, whether I want city life, whether I want to be in the mountains or whatever. All of that makes a big difference, So I got to tell anybody, if you come in here to travel or whatever, first of all, have it in your head what it is you really coming here for, no matter what that picture looks like for you, so that you can fully enjoy that. If that's a Sasua trip, hey, that's your business. If that's really to see the mountains, that's what it is. But you know what you want and then enjoy it.
Yeah, no, oh my goodness, that's incredible, right? Because one of the things you mentioned is the vision board. I'm a big believer in that because my vision board had living here full time on it. Right. Wow. It had a tree house on there. Right. When I owned a boat, it had the boat on it. And what I'm going to do when I get back home, I need to make a new vision board. Right. And I want to encourage people, a lot of people, because I don't think they ask themselves a lot of the time is, how do you want to live? We got one shot at this. Okay. We don't get a retake. We don't get to make it up. How do you want to live? And I think a lot of people go by their everyday life and they're either worried about things that have already happened or thinking about things that are going to happen, and they forget about how am I living today.
But it's amazing what writing stuff down does.
Oh my God.
I was once told many years ago by Mark Victor Hansen, who spoke at an event that we put on in New York for chiropractic patients. Tony Robbins and Mark Victor Hansen, we hired both of them to come speak. And one of the things that Mark Victor Hansen said, every New Year's Eve, him and his wife would take a half hour and write 100 goals. So me and my wife had done that at that time. And I looked at it like many years later, I'm like, wow, half of these goals I've achieved already. And because you run out of things to think about. After everybody's health and everything else, you got to start listing Lamborghinis and things like that. But it's amazing how many things had I achieved just by putting it out there, writing it down. Even this clinic, even my traveling around the United States with multiple clinics, that was all on there. Wow. And it's amazing how you put it out there and either it's in your subconscious, I guess, so you are gravitated towards those goals that you once mentioned and wrote it down, or something else that I don't know about. But it is amazing. I recommend it for everybody for sure.
And I'm starting to discover more and more that as you're meeting new people here, like today is like our first time meeting in person, but there's a strain in our DNA that has some sort of commonality or some type of characteristic in it that, things like we just discussed. And once you start to discover and get to know people more, you're like, man, like you guys made, maybe for a different reason or similar, but you made a big jump and we're connected because of that. And we have a similar energy.
We're not alone.
Yeah,
we're not alone. A lot of people are on this island specifically because they've been drawn to the environment, the mountains, the ocean, the people. All these things are attractive to all of us, right? And that's why we're here.
All right. Are you guys ready to have a little bit of fun here?
Yeah.
All right.
But so I want to touch base. When you talked about goals, after my 26 years in the military, I was a teacher for 14 years. Oh, wow. And I would tell my students, the things that you want to, you have to tell the people around you so that they can support you too.
My goodness.
Yeah. With the vision boards, don't keep it a secret.
Yep.
Share it with those people around you so they can help you achieve those things that you're looking to do. So that was, yeah.
And one thing that my family did new this year, which we should have been doing a long time ago, is we actually as a family sat down on January 1st, and my daughter's 11, my son is 15, and my wife and myself, and we wrote out our goals about what we were proud about in the year that passed. Okay, like all the accomplishments, all the
Nice, very nice.
We wrote what we want to accomplish this year. We read it to each other, and then we wrote a couple paragraphs to our future self, and we put it in an envelope, and I have it in the safe so that in January 1st, 2026, we're going to open them and we're going to read them. And for me, that was so powerful because I wrote things on there and I shared it with my wife and my children, the three most important people in my life. And I know I have to do it.
Right.
Because I have to show the kids, right? Like my children speak Spanish. My wife is born here in the Dominican Republic. And I've done schooling and I've tried and I'm really good at some things and I keep on making this year is the year that I
Learn
become fluent and I get uncomfortable and I start speaking it regardless of how I feel, and I put myself out there because I need to show my children when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it.
Sure.
And that is exactly what you just said, is that you have to make that.
Yeah, you have.
Right?
If you hear that, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes just the accountability with you is great, but if you can get that accountability from, your group or your significant other or the people that matter, that's, I think, really helps you.
Yeah, if you're doing something for something greater than just yourself, if it's just you, you don't say anything nobody knows about it, you can just like, well, I'm not going to do it. When everybody's, if those that are around you, they know, then you say that accountability aspect. It's not easy to give up on your wife and your children. I'm not going to give up. If it was just mine, yeah. So, and, we talked about the vision of where you are when we were kids, because you could never dream of being on a beach under an umbrella looking at it because your surroundings don't allow you to do that. Now kids have television. Yeah. They see all of this on. Yeah. But when we were coming up, I couldn't envision sitting out on the, doing yoga at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, that's right.
Watching the sunrise, But now we had those opportunities through the clinic and the other veterans like Chris. I mean, he's an inspiration to a lot of folks. And I mean, being paralyzed and now walking and things like that. So we inspire, as a village, we get an opportunity to inspire each other, someone else. And things like
the village, by the way, that they keep talking about is another compound in Castambar with a restaurant, pool tables, ping pong, big screen TV, cigar lounge, a laundromat, barbershop, pedicure, manicures that the veterans go to for breakfast and lunch and hang out. We have events there, but it's where they really gather and get to talk to each other and see each other in between appointments and whatever. And the village has become a really main thing. We're only half a block from the beach. It's just a great place in Castambar. A lot of veterans that come down will come there first, even before they discover our other offices around the island, because we have so much going on there in Castambar. But I know you wanted to have some kind of fun here.
Yeah, I did. And I think that's super cool what you guys mentioned. But yeah, let's have some fun over here. I'm going to throw out a couple different categories, okay? And you have two flags in your hand. You have the Dominican flag and you have the U.S. flag, okay? You don't need to give an explanation. Just have to put the flag. We'll try and, scratch the surface in the next little part. But we're going to go through a couple categories, and whichever one you honestly feel right now is better or if they're both the same, just raise the flag, okay? Cost of living, the U.S. or DR? All right, okay. Quality of life, U.S. or the DR? All right, I like that. Healthcare affordability? All right. Weather year-round, this should be a no-brainer, I assume, because I know where you guys are from in the States, right? Well, Miami's pretty good.
Well, I was born and raised in Miami, but my home now is in Virginia, so we're seeing some of the same weather that we talked about earlier. They are. I'm not seeing it.
What we just talked about, sense of community.
I think I got both on that.
That's cool. Affordability as far as maybe renting or owning real estate here.
Much better.
Much better, yes, sir. Ease of getting around.
I'd say.
Okay. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Safety and peace of mind.
I'd say over there. That feels like the same.
Okay.
I mean,
it depends.
Yeah.
The only way you live.
It's not fair
yeah,
to say U.S. is such a big country. It's not big. There's so many different places, and we're kind of on a smaller part of the island, the North Coast, right? So that's a kind of very broad question. How about this? This is interesting because I hear kind of both sides sometimes, and from my own personal experience, food.
Let's say I'm gonna go for diverse.
Okay, all right.
I mean, I like some of the food here. I'll put this sideways.
Yeah.
But in New York, you get everything.
My Toronto, you get
Everything.
a lot more expensive,
Yeah.
but I know we said we wouldn't talk, but you get also like fruits and vegetables here that you can get from the side of the road that
That's
haven't
true.
went through
Avocados.
the whole cycle of the major grocery. I could
that's
imagine
true. It's true.
what that avocado went through if you bought it in the States. But compared to here, if you bought it or your friend like Joe brings them into the office,
All right.
because he has an avocado tree and he can't eat that many avocados.
But you can't get big cherry stone clams.
No.
And I love clams.
No, there's a
That's got to be cold water.
That's why I say
Cold water.
Be diversity. You see, diversity.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, because Chris's friend he has a mango tree in his yard. Yeah.
I have a mango tree.
It's-
Nothing tastes as good as the mangoes that come from your tree.
Oh, yeah.
There's just something about it. It's the process. It's you talking to it, like as you go by.
Your tree? You could talk to it.
Yeah. I tell them it's good looking.
I like it.
Yeah, looking good.
That's good. That's good.
It's cool, yeah, man. Overall happiness.
I'm here with that.
Oh, wow. Okay, fantastic.
You read it
All right.
now.
Now, if you guys could pick, like, I know you guys are a little bit more in the Puerto Plata, like Confresi, Costa Bar area. I'm a little bit more in the Cabarete, Sosúa area. But what are some of the favorite places that you think veterans would choose to live here on the North Coast? What are a couple of the communities?
Well, it depends. If they want to be near the airport, they're going to stay where we are, Cabarete to Puerto Plata. But if they don't need to fly anywhere, the whole North Coast is magnificent. You go further out to Samana, to, Cabrera. All those towns are fantastic, and they're on the water, and you have all mountain views and ocean views and little villages, and the boats come in with the fish. You could go down and buy it right off the boat. Yeah. Those towns are gems. So for me, the North Coast, I like the North Coast the best. Yeah. I have offices on the South Coast, but I prefer to be here always. Even though I have to go there every week, I can't wait to get home.
Yeah. People ask me all the time with real estate, they're like, what's better? And I said, listen, I'm always going to tell you the North Coast because this is where I chose to raise my family. But there's great places, like Chris mentioned, all across the island. Like we're still discovering it after 11 years.
Wow.
Like over here, like I still haven't spent extended time in Jarabacoa, right? Which I hear is
that's a great place.
Incredible.
See the mountains. There's mountains everywhere. Yeah. If you think about it, especially if you fly over the island, it's like there's hardly any people on this island. It's all mountains and valleys. And like Jarabacoa is beautiful. And Costanza, where they grow everything, you go there. It's like you're in another world. It's fantastic.
And I like to golf in Punta Cana. Like I go for a trip every 6 weeks with some of my golf buddies. And you have like 30 golf courses in the matter of like 20 kilometers. So it's like, it's the next Florida of the Caribbean as far as like proximity of golf courses.
Yeah,
right.
They're building. They're gonna plan to build a professional golf course down in Seminar. Is that how I pronounce that correctly?
Seminar.
They're actually with Bergantine. There's going to be a golf course that's going to go with that development there.
Really?
And also there will be one in Cabarete, a 9-hole golf course that they're bringing back to life. So for the people that are enjoying golf, it's definitely going to have more options than it does other than just play at the Rata right now. Okay. What's traffic like?
Where?
Yeah.
Well, describe your drive over here from... You guys are on one side of the airport and we're kind of on the other, but probably equal distance, I think.
Well, if we start with the worst, Santo Domingo is by far, it's traffic everywhere all the time.
Next level.
Santiago, similar, a little bit less. The North Coast, we're spoiled. There's traffic really on one road, the main road, but that's the problem. There's only one main road. So if it's the wrong time of the day, you're going to be slow. But the rest of the areas, there's no traffic to speak of. It's only on the one main road. They need a second main road, I think.
I think so also. One of the nice things that it reminds me of back home is like when we used to go up north to do some fishing, we'd go like through a little bit of the mountains, valleys. You'll see like the lakes and stuff, really nice drive. You get that here also, right? Like as you're going through that one road that we have, like you get some ocean view, you get some mountain view.
Oh, yeah.
And, sometimes when I'm driving, I'm just reflecting, I'm like, oh my goodness, like, is this like real over here?
Yeah.
Like it's an incredible view, right? Now, I'm curious, how do you guys feel that let's say like locals or Dominicans, like how are they receptive to veterans and expats here?
Very much so. At least it's been my experience anyway. I've got that kind of personality where I kind of
Right.
let people know we're going to have a good time. And even though I don't speak the language, I guess just the energy has been very receptive. So
Absolutely.
And with me, with the things that I do in the outreach, I put myself in those environments. So it's okay for me. I don't expect to be treated by every person the same. I have a taxi driver that's been driving me around now for the last 3 years, Jeremy and his wife, Kayla, and their 2 children, and their family has become my family. So you get those things. You, like Chris said earlier, everything is personal. You can't paint with one broad stroke across for everyone. I don't expect it to be treated by somebody that I don't know, by somebody that I do know. And we were talking about food earlier. The Teal Pond, that's one of my favorite restaurants.
I need to check
They
that out.
moved, right there in Puerto Plata, and then they just moved the wings and waffles up.
I see
Yeah,
this on it. I need to hit that up.
Yeah, you got to hit it up. The wings and waffles is on point.
I'm spoiled. My wife makes my lunch.
We do have a few good places now, better than before. In Puerto Plata, Italian places on the Malecon, Panciatetto, and then Moro's. And there's some really good food here. Some people really realize this is a good place. That there's enough people that will pay for that good food that that there's more and more, for sure.
Absolutely. When I'm going out there, I'm going to reach out to you guys and get some of your favorite picks. And if you guys are down here and are hungry, you let me know also, right? One of the things I noticed, and I don't know if this is just my personal experience, but I remember in Toronto, like just being so busy sometimes, and it seemed like when you had a neighbor or something, there was a disconnect. And I don't know because it was multicultural, everyone was busy and just the hustle and bustle. But down here, I find that if I'm driving, I see somebody else's car that I know, I wave. When I go to the grocery store, someone says, I always run into someone I know. I go to my surf beach, it's like I know everyone that's there. And it just seems that there's, I don't know, a little bit different vibration, like you mentioned.
It's funny because I was just going to say that in New York, where I lived for a long time in Manhattan, you didn't even know who was in the apartment next to you. You might have seen them go in, but it's not even like you would say hello. Yeah. And walking in the street, you're certainly not saying hello to everyone you pass. That was one of the things here I noticed, that if I'm walking in the street, someone's walking past me, I say, hola, ¿cómo está?
Yeah.
There's a different vibe. It's because the energy isn't so vamped up that you're thinking about 20 other things, although you might be, but for some reason, it has a more tranquilo, tranquil. I forgot the English word. Yeah. I actually do the Spanish word better than the English word. That's not like me. But the idea is, you talk to people here, and it's people friendly like that. Hello, how you doing? Good, how you doing? That kind of a thing. It's definitely, the energy is different in the United States to the places I lived. Probably there's other places in the United States that are just like here, I'm sure. But I've always been in cities like New York City and Atlanta and places like that. And it's the vibe is a little more high strung. Here it's like nice.
Yeah, it's hard to put your finger on it, but it's a feeling.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Now, how's your guys' Spanish?
Un poquito.
Okay. So there's the thing. I get asked this question a lot. And, some of my friends, my family, some of the people that are traveling down here, they're a little bit concerned. Do you need to speak Spanish to get by here?
Well, it certainly helps. But there's enough English-speaking people here But certainly there's opportunities to learn Spanish here if you just apply yourself. I've been here 12 years, more or less, and my wife is from here. And still, I'm not fluent.
Yeah.
And it's my fault. It's
Right.
clearly my fault. I should be fluent by now. But too many people are talking to me in English that I don't have to. I have all these veterans, and they all speak English. So I get by without having to speak a lot of Spanish. But I could go into a restaurant. I could do things, and I get things done. But if they're talking fast, I don't know what they're saying.
Oh, no, when they speak fast, that one's tough because going to school is one thing, or like trying to have a teacher teach you, and then here when you get there, it's next level. It's like fast forward. But this year, my commitment is even to you guys. I'm saving space in this computer
Right.
to learn, put myself out there, be uncomfortable, and take the next step. Right? I absolutely have to. Yep. So Robert and Chris, being veterans, another question that's very, very common down here is it's safe. And based on the reality versus perception, do you guys have some insight to that or and what you feel here as far as safety goes?
For me, I don't see a problem with safety. I do think, though, you have to use discernment and intelligence in how you move, because you have a lot of people who come down here and they lose their minds, and the reality is, that's why I said earlier, it pays when you know specifically what you're down here to do, whether that's a vacation, whether that's a change of lifestyle, etc. And that's going to be influenced by your attitude, what you bring to the table. What you talked about earlier, one of the things in terms of the harmony down here is because we all have one common denominator. We are one of a small percentage who even utilizes their passports.
Yeah.
And now you've also made an additional decision to possibly live here and make a home here. So that opens doors where conversations where maybe in the States, especially amongst guys, all you talk about is sex, politics, and sports, and once you get past that, there's very little conversation outside. Here you have a broader base, and it opens up the doors to your imagination, your hope. You get an opportunity to set a value for yourself and live that out. You can make a choice, like you said, I'm going to commit myself to this, and have the freedom and the space to do what you think you want to do. In the States, oftentimes you feel the pressure of having to do and align with what you're supposed to do. Social media is influenced by that, jobs. There's so many different pressures. And that's why I say, for me, I like the fact that I can step back, because there are no utopias. This place isn't a utopia, but it offers me enough for what I want in my life to be able to enjoy, step back and observe what's going on without necessarily commit myself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that bridge opens so many doors, and I think your safety is based on how you act.
Right.
Act
Oh,
like
wow.
an adult,
Yeah.
you'll be treated like an adult.
Right.
That's right.
That's,
Absolutely.
that's huge. And, there's a lot of times, too, that most Americans, depending on their financial situation, is going to, where they're going to live.
Yes.
So you're going to pick the neighborhood that you can live in, and you're going to feel comfortable and safe in. And that's all you can do. If you're going to go to bed every night worrying about your safety, or traveling in every moment worrying about your safety when you're traveling, then you're not free of mind. So I feel very comfortable over here, but I'm not crazy. I realize something can happen.
Yeah.
But it's
of
not,
course.
that's it. And that can be anywhere.
Yes, it can. Anywhere.
And so no matter where you travel to, if I'm back in the States and back in Virginia, so something can happen, but I don't think you feel your head up, or I'm here, my safety's in jeopardy. But Chris says you have to be, you have to use your intelligence a lot. I don't associate with a lot of people that drink.
Yeah.
So I remove that from the scenario.
Yours.
I don't do large crowds. I remove that from the scenario as far as my safety is concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important wherever you are. I'm from New York, and I lived in Manhattan, and I lived in other parts of New York. You need to protect your space, no matter where you are. You need to be aware of your surroundings. Maybe I'm overreactive sometimes, but I know what's going around. It's like driving a car. You got to know when possibly that guy is going to pull out, and you got to be prepared for it. Otherwise, you could have an accident. So, it's like anywhere else. You just have to use common sense. Maybe common sense isn't as common as we'd like it to be here.
Or driving,
but,
maybe not.
Right.
But then you learn that.
Yeah.
You learn that what happens on the roads, all these taxis and things like this, and they're willing to pretty much drive anywhere to get one car ahead of you.
Yes.
But if you know that and you take it easy, you let them go.
That's right.
So there's a way you learn how to protect yourself.
Yeah.
To be safe.
I think sometimes the mainstream media may throw things out of proportion, or maybe just put the headlines there to catch like eyes. And I think the biggest thing is that if some people travel here, sometimes they go overboard. They forget about the respect level. They drink too much and they get obnoxious. And I think sometimes, if you're not respecting the environment that you're in, the people that you're around, then of course, there's going to be some vulnerability that you're in some, but you have to respect that. Like I'm in a different environment. Like be conscious of that.
They bring it on themselves, really, is what it is.
In the military, when you deploy to a location, I lived in the Philippines for 4 years, and the things that they brief you on, respect the people and respect the culture.
Yes.
If you can do those two things, that's gonna provide a certain level of protection for you. I'm not gonna step outside. I'm not going to disrespect the motorculture driver that's punching in and out.
Yeah.
That's the culture.
That's
I'm
it.
not going to disrespect you for doing something within the culture.
Of course.
So, and I think that's very important. Respect the people and respect the culture.
Absolutely. And I think that ties into, some of the ways to, make the transition from the US or Canada or whatever country somebody's looking at. So kind of final thoughts, right? What are your guys' final thoughts on how people can make the transition smoothly?
You talking about veterans or just anybody?
How about we do anybody, and then you guys can help us with the veteran part.
Okay. Well, I think to make a smooth transition, it's helpful if you know people, where you're going. It's always a nice thing to have somebody hold your hand through certain things. If you're doing it cold, do your research. There's plenty of everything online now. Pick an area that you would feel comfortable in. There's a lot of protected communities here with security. If you can afford to do that, go into a secure environment. There's plenty of them here. And then you have security. You have streets, and your kids could ride their bicycles on the streets, and you're not worried about them. They have little parks. Gravitate towards that if that's in your budget. But since it's a lot cheaper to live here, that probably would fill a lot of people's budgets pretty well. So, do your homework.
Yeah.
Bottom line is the internet allows you to do a lot of research and get a lot of ideas about where to go. And if you're affiliated with an organization like a church or the Lions Club or something like that, they probably have a presence here. Mm-hmm. And you could communicate with them, and you will make new friends very fast that are of like minds that will help you through the newness of the place.
Absolutely. Chris?
I pretty much agree with what Gary said. I think it goes back to what I said earlier, though. Have a very clear and honest picture within yourself as to why you are here in the first place. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't have that picture, then it's so easy to get off target. Yeah. If you're in the veteran, there are so many opportunities, veteran clinics that you can look up online, and they give descriptions of what they do, what they specialize in, etc. So you got to find out if you want to embrace that side of you, what works best for you. Do the research that way. You get to meet somebody, maybe put something online, because there are also different chat groups out. If you can get affiliated with one of them and you can establish some relationships and have some of your questions answered even before you get here. But again, if you have a solid sense of what it is that you want and being here, that makes a major difference in terms of how quickly those things come to fruition.
Along that point, when veterans contact us from the United States and they have service-connected conditions that we had helped them with, which is a lot of things, we actually take them and put them up 2 weeks close to the clinic at no cost to them.
Oh, wow.
And they get breakfast and lunch in our village, or one of the other offices we provide foods to. But the idea is we want them to be close to the treatment, but also we want them to be, we want to make sure they're safe.
Yeah.
So they're within a few blocks of us, and we have plenty to offer for them. So they come down for a couple of weeks, and many of these people now live here. They'll come down, they'll say, wow, I want to live in the DR. Then they come back and they find an apartment. We actually help them find apartments as well. And they move here and they bring their families, but they had a good taste of it through the initial program that we had, our basically like an immersion program. It's intensive care for a couple of weeks and in the areas that they need help with. And that usually has helped a lot of these guys. I mean, a lot of them have come down because of that opportunity to experience the place and also feel protected.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Well, not only feel protected, but also that opens up the door for them to create community, because now you got people who are service connected who can help you, even answer questions that you might have in terms of your claims.
Yeah.
You know, now you're surrounded amongst people who speak your language and kind of have, you know, something that you have in common. So that helps a lot.
And I always tell people, like when they're asking about real estate, and I said, if you're going to take any advice, take it from someone who's already done it.
Yeah.
I guess by having that option for them to come there, then they can also talk to the people that are there and hear from them, not only from you, right, but hear from the other people and how they feel and what their experience.
That's what makes it effective.
Yeah, and I can speak to Vernon. That's what Vernon did. He came down, saw the place, but he met other vets. Built. You talked earlier about the community, and everybody raised the Dominican flag when we said community, because here, for instance, me, if I was in the States, and if I have friends, if they're still working, I'll see them on the weekends, and then I don't want to infringe on their weekends. So you tend to be alone in the States. Here, we build that community. I know who I'm going to see every morning for breakfast. You know, those type things is important. And you get that information about real estate. I'm thinking about building. I'm trying to purchase a property now. So those are things like that. But we get the idea. I got the idea from purchasing from somebody that was purchasing, a vet that was purchasing. So that's how that goes.
Well, I know a good brokerage. I'm just saying.
I got you.
You guys threw that in there over there.
I need a good builder.
Don't worry, we built two. We even do some private lending also. So we got a full circle, just like Gary was over there. We try and make it easy. Yeah, definitely. And Dr. Gary, if somebody wants to learn more or wants to contact you or some of the veterans, what is the easiest way for them to do that?
Well, the website is drveterans.com. Dominican Republic, DR.
Yeah, you scored
drveterans.com. That was a good URL to get.
Definitely.
And that's really, they could go on there, and there's phone numbers, and there's pictures of the doctors and everything there. That's a good place to start, is go to drveterans.com.
Absolutely. Well, this was an incredible conversation. I know I have some new friends over here. I want to say thank you. I appreciate it. It was nice to have your insight, learn a little bit more, and find out that we had a lot more in common than maybe when we started over here, which was nice, right? Thanks for sharing the insights on healthcare. You know, obviously I threw in a little real estate there, but just general life in the Dominican Republic. Like Gary mentioned, if you want to learn more, okay, go to www.drveterans.com for more information. And if you're looking for real estate, obviously you're going to reach out to me directly, and feel free to reach out to my team at Realtor DR. We'd love to help you find the perfect home. And don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave us a review if you enjoyed this episode. And until next time, stay inspired and take action. Thank you, guys.
Yes. Thank you.
Robert, thank you.